Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're doing good. So today I am going to be showing you the concluding part of this dress. You know we started last week, yes? So I'm going to be showing you the skirt part and the ruffles part this week. If this is your first time on this channel, thank you for stopping by. And if you're a returning subscriber, thank you for always coming back. I really appreciate you guys. In this tutorial, I am going to be doing less talking because really there isn't much to say. Alright, so I'm just going to allow you to watch and see the process. So if this is something you like to see, let's get to it. These are my client's measurements. Our waist is 31, hips is 42.5 inches, the length is 42, waist to hips is 8.5, waist to knee 24, and then waist to above her knee is 21. And this is the calculation I'll be using to draft the front pattern and the back pattern. You know it is quite different. But you know what, I'm not going to do this all over again because I already have a very detailed video on how to draft a fitted skirt. Guys, if you have not seen that video, I think you should see it first. So what I'll be doing here is to draft the skirt, cut it out so that we can move to other things. So after cutting the lace fabric and the satin, which actually serves as the lining in this case, what I did was to put the right side of the lining under the wrong side of the lace so that the shining part of the satin can reflect through the lace and give us a shining effect on the right side. All right, so this is the front pattern on the table. I have laid it perfectly well, and now I am bringing in the back pattern of the skirt. So the sides of the skirt have to align. All right, so place the back pattern of the skirt on the right pattern, right side facing right side. Ensure that the hem match. You see the edge of the lace, it has to match. And then ensure that the notch that you made while cutting, especially at the hips, the notch that you made align. So I am going to do that for the two patterns that we have for the back. So after placing them on top of each other, I decided to pin the patterns together, the front and the back, because the lace was really slippery. So looking at the zipper side of the skirt, you see that it is curved and it is not flat. So that is how it should be. The back should be curved because it is going to hug the buttocks and it is going to give us a fitted skirt. So here what I'm doing is to pin it down like I did to the sides. After that, I measured where I wanted the slit to start from and then I made a mark. All right, so I'm going to sew right from below the zipper to this part and then leave the bottom part open because that is going to be the slit. Okay, so here I'm also measuring the zipper. I think I measured about 9 inches and then I made a mark. So I'm going to fix the zipper. After fixing the zipper, I'll sew from below the zipper to this point where I made a mark for the slit, and then I'll leave the bottom side for the slit. So here I have already attach the bodice to the skirt, and what remains is to fix the zipper. So first I have to ensure that the waistline align on both sides. It has to align. So if you look at what I am holding up, you see it looks as if there is an excess fabric on the buttocks area, but never mind. Considering the pattern that we used, the fabric that looks as if it is excess now is what is going to hug the buttocks, and that is what is going to make the skirt fitted at the back. So here what I'm doing is to fix the zipper. So first, usually what I do is to pin the zipper. Here I am using an invisible zipper. So I'm going to pin the zipper to both sides. After that, I am now going to sew all around. So usually I pin first before I sew. And sometimes if the fabric is really slippery like this, I can unstitch it first so that my zipper can align at the top after sewing it. You don't want to sew your zipper and then the zipper would not align. So I'm going to put a link in the description box of how to fix an invisible zipper. Here is the first picture of the dress after fixing the zipper and before attaching the ruffles. So now let's work on the ruffles. Like I said earlier, I used 40 meters of tulle. So what I'm doing here is just to plan what the bottom is going to look like. So the first layer would be satin fabric. The second layer would be tulle, that is gathered tulle. And then the third layer would be the ruffles. But for the ruffles, I'm also going to cut circular flares that I'm going to attach the ruffles to, because the ruffles is actually going to hang on the second layer, which is the gathered tulle. For the ruffles part, because I presume that it was going to be very heavy considering the amount of tulle that I'll be using, I decided to use a velcro to attach it to the skirt. It was going to hold it firmly and it would not come off. You should also put that into consideration. So guys, I've already used 10 meters to make ruffles. Alright, I have a video on how to make ruffles, and that is the exact thing that I did. I don't have a ruffler foot. I used my domestic machine to make the ruffles, and it was super fast. So if you have not seen this video where I showed you the different methods to make ruffles without a gather's foot, please see this video. So now let us start with the first layer. To get the first layer, I measured round the knee of the client, some inches above the knee, and then I used that circumference to cut a 180-degree flare, which is this satin. Alright, so the satin is a form of high low. It is high at the front and low at the back, so that is going to be like a train. Alright, so for the second layer that I said was going to be gathered to, I cut about 5 meters of tulle. I cut them straight, not flare, not in a circular form, and then I gathered it and then I placed it on top of the satin. So that is going to be the second layer. All right, but at the bottom of that second layer, which is going to be the gathered toe, what I'm going to do is to sew ruffles to the bottom, so that it is going to give it a full effect at the bottom. I'm going to show you this much later. All right, so now to the third layer, which is going to be the ruffles, and that is where the work is. I used about 30 meters. So the one I showed you earlier, the ruffles that I had already made, was 10 meters. So now I am using 20 meters. Okay, so what I did was to fold 20 meters at a go. I didn't cut it. I folded 20 meters, and here I am making 3-inch mark from the top to the bottom. After that, I'm going to draw it into a straight line, and then I am going to cut it out. So after cutting it out, I am going to gather everything one by one, just like what I have here. Now let us move to the circular flare. Remember I said that we are going to attach the ruffles to the circular flare. Okay, so here I'm going to demonstrate with the paper what I am going to do. I want to be able to cut about 4 flares at the same time at a go, 4 360-degree flares at a go. So what I'm going to do is to fold my paper about 4 times, so that by the time I cut it out, I am going to have 4 circles at once. So let me show you again. So if you want to cut more than 1 flare at the same time for a 360-degree flare, this is fold 1, this is fold 2, this is fold 3, and this is fold 4. So by folding it 4 times, that means that I am going to cut out 4 flares. All right, so you can also use this method so that you save a lot of time. You know that usually when you're cutting a 360-degree flare, you mark out the radius and then the length of your flare. But in this case, we do not need the radius. Don't cut out the radius. You don't need it. The only thing you need is the length. All right. So you're going to mark the length right from the corner, mark out the length just the same way we do it, and then you cut it out. So now let me show you. Look at this now. I am going to have 4 circles at the same time. So I have saved time of having to fold my fabrics over and over again. So I have 4 circles here. All right. So I used 2 different lengths because I wanted a long one and a short one. So for the short one, I used the length of 8 inches. All right, and for the long one, I use the length of 16 inches. So it depends on the length that you want. It depends on where you want your ruffles to be. All right, So after cutting out the circles, I'm just going to show you how to layer it on the satin so that we can sort out the ruffles part of the dress. So guys, back to business. These are all the fabrics, all the materials that I need to make the ruffles. I like to cut out all my materials first, all the fabrics first, and then join it together. So this is the first layer, which is the satin. You remember I said I cut a 180-degree flare. So this is the satin, the first layer. So the second layer is going to be the gathered tulle. So I am going to place the gathered tulle on the satin. And if you look at the bottom of the gathered tulle, you'll see that I have already sewn some ruffles to it as well. All right, like I said earlier, I want the bottom part to be full, all right, because it really won't be nice if it is scanty. So I sew the ruffles, some ruffles to the bottom part. I have about 3 layers of this gathered tulle, and they are the same length actually. So after sewing the gathered tulle to the satin, the next thing I'm going to do is to introduce the circular flare. And looking at the circular flare, you would see that I have also sewn ruffles, the ruffles to the edge all around. So this is how I am going to place it on what I already have on the table. So I'm going to arrange it. So you need a lot of this in order to make this cloud ruffles. If you do not have a lot, it is going to be scanty. And by a lot, it is actually relative, so it depends on the kind of dress you are making. Looking at the dress I made, you'll think I did not use up to 40, but I actually used 40 meters of tulle. So if you're making something not as bogus as that, you might use about 20 to 30 meters. And also, I want you to take note that it takes a lot of time. To gather this tulle, it took me more than a full day. So this is how I am going to place it all around, and then I'm going to unstitch it. You need to tack it down so that it can stay in place. So you can just play with it. You can see what I did just now, right? You can play with it anyhow you want, as long as you achieve what you desire. Okay, so it would rather be nice if you could do this on a mannequin rather than on a flat surface, so that you can see what you're doing, if it is full or not, if some areas need more ruffles than the other, especially the back. You know, this item, this is a velcro that I used to attach the ruffles part, the bottom part, to the skirt. All right, so you have to be careful if you're using the velcro as well. So guys, after joining the ruffles part, that is the satin to the gathered tulle to the circular flare with the ruffles, what I did was that I used the velcro to attach it to the skirt, and on that velcro, on that part, I also put ruffles in order to hide the velcro. So guys, this is the end of this tutorial. If it has been helpful, please comment, like, share, and ask your questions if you do not understand. Please take care of yourself. Till we see again next time. Bye.